Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by my channel. A Square Pillow Isn't Square, the place where you will learn anything and everything you wanted to know about home deck sewing. Today's video is one that a lot of you have asked me for. It's just how to make a simple pillow cover with a flange, which is kind of just another word for self border that doesn't flop over. As you can see, this flange holds itself up really nicely. It has an overlap closure in the back, so you don't have to worry about zippers. And today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this, and it works really well for your shams on your bed pillows or on sofa cushions or anything that you want a nice flanged border for. So let's get to it. The things that you're going to need for this project are your pillow form. You can use a standard bed pillow, and this works for whatever size pillow you want to use. Bed pillow, accent pillow, whatever. You're going to need your decorator fabric. You're going to need a scrap of drapery lining or other lightweight fabric that you have around, maybe an old sheet. That would work really well. But I have lots of scraps of lining, so I use those. And the secret ingredient is a piece of quilt batting. And you want one that is a bonded polyester, so it's got a little bit of stiffness to it. You don't want a really soft, floppy piece of cotton batting. You want one that's got a little bit of bounce back. See how when I fold that, it pops back open? That little bit of stiffness is the important element in this particular kind of batting. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is measure your pillow insert. Always measure for your covers. One of the very first videos that I did is called How to Measure for a Pillow Cover to make sure you get a nice fit. I will link to that video here. This one is going to finish at 16 inch. This is going to be a 16-inch finished pillow. So you need to know how big your cover is going to be, and then the other thing you have to determine is how big you want your flange or your border to be. As a general rule, you probably want to shoot for about 2 inches. 2 inch generally makes a really nice size flange. You can go a little bit smaller if you want, and you can go a little bit bigger. In general, 2 inches is kind of a standard size for a flange. Okay, how big do you make your cuts? Well, in my case, my little pillow is the cover is going to finish at 16 inches. So I'm going to start with 16 inches. I'm going to do a standard 2-inch flange. So I'm going to add 2 inches on both sides of my square, and then I'm going to add a minimum of 1 inch extra allowance, which we are going to trim off later. But go ahead and add 1 inch on each side. So you just take your front measurement and add 6 inches. In my case, 16 plus 6, I'm going to cut out a 22-inch square for my front. That's going to be cut out of my decorator fabric, my lining piece, and my batting. Then for the back, we're going to go with the same height as our front piece, which is, in my case, 22 inches. But the width, we're actually going to need to go a little bit wider because we're going to do just a standard overlap flap on the back, so you don't have to install a zipper or anything like that. So take your measurement that you came up with for your front and add 6 inches to that. So in my case, I'm going to cut a single piece of decorator fabric for the back, 22 inches high and 28 inches wide. Now once you've cut out all of your pieces, start by stacking your pillow fronts like you see here. You're going to have first your decorator fabric on top of your batting with your lining piece on the bottom. The next step is to take your rectangular back piece, fold it in half, and cut it right up the middle so you have 2 pieces that look like this. The middle right here is where you're going to do your overlap. So we're going to finish those 2 inside edges by doing a double narrow hem. I usually turn about maybe a double 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch hem, and then you'll take that to the machine and sew that close to the fold. So now you have your 2 overlapping pieces for your back all finished and ready to go. The next thing that you do is simply lay one of your back pieces right sides together over the stack that is your front, and line it up to the top, bottom, and right side. And then take your other piece and lay it right sides together on top so it looks like this, and it'll be overlapping your first piece. And pin those all together all the way around. Use a lot of pins because as you're sewing around the edges, all these layers can tend to shift. Sometimes you have to, pull pretty tightly as you're sewing between the front and the back to keep everything nice and secure. So you're going to take that to the machine, and I usually will sew this in about a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. It seems like a big seam allowance, but it just makes it a lot easier to make sure that you're catching in all of your layers. So stitch all the way around all 4 sides in a 3/4 of an inch seam allowance. The next thing you're going to do is just trim away the excess, and I'll usually leave about 1/4 of an inch, at least about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now turn your pillow cover right side out, and we're going to press all along the outer edges so that you get a nice, clean, sharp edge. And once you've done that, you're just going to mark where you're going to top stitch your flange. You can draw on it with an invisible or disappearing ink pen, or you can just measure in and use pins as your marker to follow, but just mark in your 2 inches all the way around. And make sure that overlap flat is nice and straight, and just pin it in place through all the layers, a couple of inches from the top and the bottom, just to make sure when you're sewing it, it stays in place. And top stitch through all the layers, again using lots of pins to help all your layers stay in place. And also make sure wherever your overlap edges are, both the inside and the outside one, make sure you do a nice strong back tack, a reinforcing stitch. That's a stress point when you open it up to put your pillow insert in and out, so you don't want that to tear or pop open. So make sure you reinforce those 2 overlap edges both on the top and the bottom. All right, let's see what we've got. So from the front, we have our perfect little flanged pillow. From the back, when you open it up, you have a nice lined interior where all of that batting is protected and isn't going to come loose in your seams. It's nice and neat. Our pillow should fit perfectly in there. Nice and snug the way I like it. And look at that. That pillow flange holds itself up really nicely, and as you can tell, 2 inches is plenty big. So yay, no more floppy flanges. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel. There's lots of good content on there with lots more to come. And consider subscribing. That way you'll get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Good luck with your pillows and happy sewing.